Mornin' realm, mornin', mortals of Terra. I am Naservin Mistrov, creature of Rye, member of the Volkrog clan. And today, it is my very great pleasure to read to you a favorite story of mine, the first chapter of Hunter by Joanna White. And for those of you who are unaware, the whole reason that Mr. Misservy has requested that I do this, I just called James Mr. Misservy. He'll never forgive me for that. Anyway, the reason he's asking me to do this is to help cross-promote and share each other's stories with the world. And isn't that so exciting and so much fun that I, a creature of Rye, not even a member of your world, get the opportunity to help spread the good news of this wonderful story by a good friend of mine, Joanna White. Hunter by Joanna White. Avarella. Now this is from the point of view of Avarella. Avarella, I need the weeds plucked. If you don't get it finished, then we'll have nothing to eat, Mother called. I sighed and rolled my eyes. Oh, I forgot Joanna writes in first person. This will be fun. But grudgingly walked outside and knelt beside our garden. It was larger than most of the ones in our village, which is why most of the people traded their items for vegetables from us, which is awesome because we had enough to share, and we were able to get other things that we didn't have time to because we're always gardening. They would pay us with what we didn't have, wool for clothes and blankets. Even without saying a word, my brother Gabriel knelt beside me and began tugging on weeds. I narrowed my eyes at him. Gabe, you know you shouldn't be working, he sighed and plucked a weed, throwing it behind him. Just because I'm sick doesn't mean I have to lie in bed all day. Yes, it does, I hissed underneath my breath. Ooh. She cares a lot for his brother, and his brother still wants to be helpful. I like this guy. She's got spunk, too. If Mother heard, working is only going to make your condition worse. My condition? I sighed and rubbed my eyes. You know what I mean. His eyes softened. Yeah, I know. It wasn't often he became angry, and it was even less than that when he held a grudge, even if someone said anything to offend him. Fortunately, I knew he hadn't meant it, and more than that, I knew he was right. No one really knew much about diseases or how they worked. When anyone became sick, you were just sick. There was an older woman named Ghana in the village who knew little about herbs, but that was mostly enough to cure coughing. Anything beyond that, you died. Where's your mother? It was our neighbor, Vanice. Her light brown hair was matted, and her eyes were puffy and red-rimmed. I gestured to the door. Inside, she nodded and shoved the door open. Gabriel and I exchanged a look. Do you think this means Mathix it was taken? He clenched his jaw. I forgot who Mathix was. I didn't pay much attention to Avriella when she was mortal, and I think she still is mortal. So I don't know what's going on here. He clenched his jaw but stood. As he did, his body collapsed and his eyes fluttered. As his body twitched and jerked, I held him. It was all I could do when the fits happened. Oh, I think he's got epilepsy. My greatest fear was that one day I would hold him and the fit would take his life. I constantly prayed to God that if it wouldn't happen, that he would protect my brother, but I had no way of knowing if he would answer my prayer. His eyes rolled back in his head, so I just sat there quietly, hoping and praying. Later that night, Gabriel was laying in bed, asleep. Mother and I knelt by the fire, silent as we tried to keep warm. Nights became cold, eerily cold. The howls and wails from Zagara could be heard. I shuddered to think what horrors were inside the prison. Did Mac get taken? I glanced up from where I stirred soup. Mother nodded. Vanice is a wreck. After her husband was taken 2 years ago, she swallowed. She has no one. Mother nodded, running a hand through her thick black hair. No one really knew why the Arutel arrested villagers. Ooh, I think I do. But I'm not on her world, and she'll find out soon enough, I think. They only ever took men and boys, for no reason and at seemingly random. Everyone feared it, but no one could explain it. Though I would never admit this to Mother, I often went to Ghana, the oldest woman in the village. We spoke for hours on end about the Arutel, about the legends of Zagara, about why we were oppressed and why they did this to us. Her husband had been taken 25 years ago. 9 years ago, her son had been taken. Why? Why did they take them? They don't even do anything wrong, I shouted in frustration. Mother stared at me in horror. There before she walked over and smacked my mouth. Avriela, don't say such things. If they heard you say that, they would kill you. Or worse. I glared at her, left the ladle on the pot, and stormed off to my room. That night, my whole world came crashing down. The Gredi guards from the Arutel stormed inside, knocking things aside, leaving the room cluttered. One of them kicked over the bowl of soup Mother kept warm over the fire. The precious soup formed a puddle on the floor, which another Gredi stepped in. The Gredi rushed toward Gabriel's room. I charged that direction, reaching for a sword that had belonged to my father. Before I even had a chance to grab it, the Gredi had pinned me to the ground. Mother screamed, shoving at one bulky man from what I could see, but two more grabbed my arms. Four more tore the door down to Gabe's room off its hinges, dragging Gabriel through the house and out the door. Mother sobbed hysterically, especially as they dragged us outside to watch them take Gabriel away. I lunged at the men, thrashing and trying to fight them, but they held me back with their grips of iron. Gabriel shook his head at me, wincing as they chained his hands to the creatures they used to drag the prisoners to Zagara. Even as he coughed and struggled to stay on his feet, they left him there. Despite that his knees buckled and he collapsed to the ground, he held my gaze. I realized what he was trying to tell me. Don't do it. Please, please, don't take him. I screamed violently, thrashing against the two men that held me back. Gabe just met my gaze and smiled. Then they rode off, taking my brother with them. Please, no! That was the first chapter. Oh, sorry about that. That was the first chapter of Hunter by Joanna White. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun reading it.